We'd be taken out, so what was my assumption, but it's like, man, crappy timing. If they're gonna throw a fit about that. And they've been upset, they've been reasonable. They have set something on fire. You know, like this could be a lot worse. Yeah. And now we're on the night, so we just need to do things the right way. Unfortunately, we're having to make a lot of hard decisions. For sure. The challenge is down the road ever. Cool. Yes. Looking forward to it.
Got my flask in my pocket. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I brought.
Good evening. It's now past 5:30. Thank you. Want to explain, I got a call from Mayor Kelleher. He was out of town this weekend for the Thanksgiving holidays with family, I believe, and his plane got delayed. He's unable to be here tonight. He won't be back in North Platte till he thought after 7. So I am going to act as a presiding officer at this meeting. I have no official capacity other than a presiding officer. I am a ward, my ward is Ward 1. I'm a council member. I have a right to vote. I will do that, but no other capacity than I have as a council member. So we'll proceed on and do the best we can. I have a lot of people who know more about this than I do, so we'll get through this. First of all, we have the invocation. If we could, please rise. Byron Lamgo with the Christian Outdoor Fellowship.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that we've been given and the nice day that it was. Thank you for the opportunity to come here and pray before this group of men. Please give them the wisdom and the clarity of thought to make the right choices for our city, and that it will continue to grow and be what you would have it to be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Angie, let's do the roll call of council members.
Nestle,
Present.
Dye,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Lucas,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Lander,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Smith.
Here.
A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. As the meeting procedure, the public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the presiding officer. If recognized by the presiding officer, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the presiding officer and limit your remarks. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. The first item, I guess, do we have any awards? I don't believe we do tonight. The first item is the consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the council, city council, to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request. Item number 1, A, approve the minutes of November 8, 2025. B, approve the reappointment of Carol Lee Lind to the North Platte Housing Authority Board. C, authorize the mayor to sign renewal of city maintenance agreement number 20 with the Nebraska Department of Transportation. D, appoint Bill Trzynski, city attorney, as successor trustee of a deed of trust executed by Catherine M. Cunningham. E, direct the successor trustee to reconvey the property described as Lot 12 of Sodders replat of Lot 7 of Buffalo Bills subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to Catherine Cunningham. F, appoint Bill Trzynski, city attorney, as successor trustee of the deed of trust executed by Alex A. Sanchez and Helen Vieira Sanchez. G, direct the successor trustee to reconvey the property described as the west half of Lot 3 and all of Lot 4, Block 16, Lincoln Highway, 2nd Edition, to North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to Alex A. Sanchez and Helen Vieira Sanchez. H, appoint Bill Trzynski, city attorney, as successor trustee of a deed of trust executed by Cheryl A. Jensen. I, direct the successor trustee to reconvey the property described as Lot 7, Block 44, original town of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to Cheryl Jensen. J, appoint Bill Trzynski, city attorney, as successor trustee of a deed of trust executed by Cynthia Lee, I believe that's Seitz. K, direct the successor trustee to reconvey the property described as Lot 10, Block 9, Cody's 2nd Edition, to North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to Cynthia Lee Seitz. L, adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for preliminary and final approval of Chase subdivision located at 802 East Walker Road in a I-1 light industrial district. M, adopt the recommendation by the City Planning Commission for a preliminary and final approval of Fritz Farm 2nd subdivision located at 1120 Andy Avenue through 1109 Gwynn Avenue in a PR-3 planning residential district.
Mr. Councilman Nisley, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second, a motion made by Ed Rieger, second by Pete Bowles to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote on that. All right, the consent agenda is approved. We'll go to the regular agenda. It does show, we're going to do the closed session at the end after the claims tonight, so we'll proceed on with the regular agenda. Number 2, approve the landfill pasture land grazing lease with Billy Wilson for $9,250 per year for 2026, 2027, and 2028, and authorize the mayor to sign necessary documents.
Councilman Nisley, I move that we adopt proposed motion, I move to approve the landfill pasture land grazing lease with Billy Wilson for $9,250 per year for 2026, 2027, and 2028, and authorize the mayor to sign the necessary documents.
Second.
There's been a motion by Ed to approve item number 2, a second by Ty. Is there any discussion on this issue? Yes, Brad.
So do we take this out to bid or how we do? And this is the highest bidder we're getting. All right. I was just crunching the numbers. I mean, there's some real money out there that you can make off that hay. So
This isn't hay, this is grazing.
Oh, okay. I meant, all right. That makes sense.
We also do hay at a different time.
Gotcha. That's what I was thinking wrong. Okay, never mind. That answers my question. Thanks.
Any further questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Reaper.
Thank you, Councilman. Lane, what responsibility does the city have regarding the property? In other words, I presume there's some kind of watering mechanism on the property and the fences, and who's responsible for taking care of that and maintaining the well?
We make sure the fences and the well is working at the start of each grazing season.
And so if something fails during the grazing season, then is it the tenant's responsibility to make those repairs and corrections, or how's that done?
Great question that I can't answer. We haven't had any issues in the last 7 years, so I don't know that for sure, but I can find that out for you.
Might be a good idea to have some clarification there. It's just so we don't have any issues with it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All right, let's vote on the motion. That motion passes. Item number 3, adopt the resolution to approve placing stop signs at the intersection of Bryan Avenue and Francis Street for northbound and southbound traffic.
I move to adopt a resolution to approve placing stop signs at the intersection of Bryan Avenue and Francis Street for northbound and southbound traffic.
Second.
Who was it seconded by? There's been a motion by Councilman Flanders and a second by Councilman Lucas to approve the item number 3. Is there any discussion or questions? Yes, Brett.
I don't have any problem with the placement at the Bryan, but I'm curious, Francis and Tabor, there's a stop sign, stop in traffic going that way. Is that correct? Or am I misthinking? What are we gonna do with that corner? Cause we want traffic to flow through there, don't we?
I'll let Brent answer that question.
Okay. Since we're talking about Francis, it's,
Good evening, Mayor and Jim and council. That you're correct, Brad. The plan is to change it, the direction of that stop.
Okay.
Right now, it's stopping east and west. The plan is to have Francis be no stops at all through that entire corridor. So that will be changed once we get closer to having that open. So we will be bringing that back once that section is closer to finished and usable by the public.
yep, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, good question.
And I misspoke. It was Rod, you made the second on
Yeah.
that motion. So it was a motion made by Brian, a second by Rod, die on item number 3. Any further questions or discussion? Vote on item number 3. That motion passes. We'll now go to item 3A. Adopt the resolution to approve Schedule I of Chapter 78 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of North Platte to add no parking zones at Francis Street from Tabor Avenue to Devco Avenue, both sides, approximately 3,800 feet to the southwest corner of the U.S. Post Office.
Councilman Isley, I move to adopt the resolution to approve Schedule I of Chapter 78 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of North Platte to add no parking zones at Francis Street from Tabor Avenue to Devco Avenue, both sides, approximately 3,800 feet to the southwest corner of the U.S. Post Office.
Second.
Second by Lucas. Is there any questions or discussions on this particular item?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Is Francis Street there, is that no parking all the way from Jeffers or Dewey all the way down to Tabor, or is there parking there now?
There's no parking all the way to Tabor, but from the east side of Tabor, that kind of half block, there's parking right now.
Okay.
where it dead ends. There's
Okay.
parking on both sides, so parking will be removed
From
on
there?
that half block.
Okay,
But once that's removed, the plan is no parking from Newberry to
to
Dewey.
Dewey. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Right now, the only change would be that
That little
partial
block. Okay,
from Tabor East.
okay. Yep.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I
Councilman.
mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, I didn't want him to get away. So, and maybe it's not legal, but today I periodically will see street parking like at the Abbey Carpet Store or Dave's Place, that area. So that area doesn't allow parking today?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's very often. I don't know who it was, so.
You see a lot of trucks parked there unloading
Yeah.
freight.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Have we sent out any communication to that one block with the residential we have?
We've talked to all of the
Okay.
property owners about
Okay.
it in person.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. No further questions or discussion. Let's vote on item 3A. Item 3A is passed. Item number 4, adopt a resolution approving the vacation or abandonment of Vieira Avenue as a public road by the county commissioners of Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Councilman Nisley, I move to adopt a resolution approving the vacation or abandonment of Vieira Avenue as a public road by the county commissioners of Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion by Councilman Reether and a second by Councilman Lucas on item 4. Is there any discussion on that? Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Nisley. Can somebody help me understand the process of like where we're at right now with that road? Has it been abandoned by the county yet? Or do they have to do that first? Do we have to do our part first? How does this process work?
So the simplest answer is that we're working in conjunction with the county. So there's a statute that pertains specifically to how a county vacates a road. And so their first step was directing the highway superintendent to create a study regarding the vacation of the road. So that is in process right now. Because the road is within the city's zoning jurisdiction, the statute also requires basically the consent of the city council. The vacation of the road requires the consent of the city council in order for the county to move forward because it's within the 2-mile extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. So that's the only reason it's back in front of us is because of its location, the commissioners can't move forward unless the city council provides their approval.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for the explanation.
Any further questions? Yes, Councilman Gary.
So I called up some of the commissioners and had some conversations with them. Don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of this. That's not my concern. My concern is I don't want to make it appear like we're trying to tell them what to do. So is this a timing thing that they're waiting on us to do this in order for them to do next steps?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't speak to exactly what their timing looks like. I know they have notices that they have to send out once that study is completed. And so this likely still won't be completed by the commissioners till sometime in January, but we kind of thought that it was better to just get it in front of city council sooner rather than later so that we don't hold anything up on their end.
I gotcha. Is there any downside to if then they decide not to abandon the road, this resolution just goes away then essentially?
Essentially, yeah, because the resolution is tailored so that you're really only saying that we approve or we okay the county commissioners to move forward with their plan.
Gotcha.
So, and it's all according to the statute that's out there for them.
Gotcha.
Any further questions or discussion? Vote on item number 4. Item number 4 passes. Item number 5. Third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4231, annexing partial number 0054621.68, described as Lot 2, Franson Second Administrative Subdivision, Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 3.55 acres.
Councilman, would you like me to read the ordinance?
Yes, please.
Ordinance number 4231, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to include within the corporate limits of the city of North Platte certain lands described as Lot 2, Franzen Second Administrative Subdivision, Lincoln County, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4231, annexing parcel ID number 0054621.68, described as Lot 2, Franzen Second Administrative Subdivision, Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 3.55 acres on final reading.
Second.
Second by Reeker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, there's been a motion by Councilman Flanders and a second by Councilman Reeker on item number 5. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote on item number 5. That motion passes. Item number 5 passes. Item number 6. Third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4232, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025 capital letter A, East 6th Street, 1600 block East 6th Street.
Councilman Nisley, I move to enter closed
And
session.
I need to, go ahead.
I move to enter closed session for the role of discussing pending litigation in order to protect the public's interest.
Second.
Okay, let's have Lane read the ordinance and then we'll do the motion. Is that okay?
Ordinance number 4232, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-A, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Okay, Councilman Reeker has made a motion to go into executive session.
I second it.
You seconded,
I
I'm
did.
sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, it's been a motion by Councilman Reeker and seconded by Councilman Garrick to go into executive session for purpose of discussing items of potential litigation. All those, and let's vote on that issue right now. Passes 8-0, so we're now going to enter into executive session. So everybody will have to leave the room.
I am too. I feel better.
Okay, we're back in public session. Just briefly, we went into executive session to discuss pending litigation, really about and clarification of some issues, and that was the nature and extent of it. Okay, we had, Lane, you had read the ordinance, hadn't you? So I suppose now is, we have someone to make a motion to. on
I move
item
to
number-
adopt ordinance number 4232, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-A East Sixth Street, 1600 block of East Sixth Street on final reading.
Okay, I just want to clarify, is it ordinance number what, Pete?
4232.
You got the right one?
Correct.
Is that I?
Second.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's the wrong one. Okay, we have a second. Pete, and who's the second? Second, Nick. Okay, Nick. Okay, we have a motion and second on the ordinance. Is there any on item number 6? Is that correct? Yes. Is there any discussion on that? Yes.
Councilman Nisley, thank you. I have a question. The council just voted, I think unanimously, to a modified annexation proposal brought to the council regarding the Franzens properties. I think that was initially written up to annex that whole property. The council met and the Franzens expressed their desire that they did not want to have the whole property annexed, but just 3 acres maybe out of that whole parcel was to be annexed. And the council unanimously agreed to allow them to do that. My question is, and that was a friendly annexation. My question is regarding all of these properties on East Sixth Street that we're proposing to annex. What's different with these properties and Franzens? We changed our proposal for Franzens to allow them to not have to be annexed in the city because they did not want to be annexed in the city. These folks do not want to be annexed into the city. But by all indications, we're going to force them into an annexation in opposition to their desires. Well, we didn't do that with Franzens, but I'm wondering what the difference is.
Judy, you want to address that issue for us?
Short answer is access to city water and sewer. The Franzen property has no access to city water and sewer. Most of these properties, there is one that would have to extend the water line, I believe. But other than that, they all have access to city water and sewer, and the majority of them are hooked up to city water and sewer. That's the biggest difference.
Am I correct in my understanding that these folks that are hooked up to sanitary sewer and city water are paying an elevated fee to offset the fact that they are not annexed in the city limits?
That is correct.
Okay. So they are paying something in lieu of taxation, I guess, maybe. Maybe it's equal, maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know how to calculate that. But it seems to me a little bit incongruent that one parcel of property, we've accommodated the property owners wholesalely, and that the folks that do not want to be annexed into the city, we're disregarding their wishes. And I don't think that's the way we need to do business.
Councilman Lucas?
Councilman Ricker, I'd just like to respond to give you. I'm sorry. I'd like to just respond to give you my opinion. I mean, the process has been the same with each parcel property where went to the planning commission, we took public input. Every councilman looks at it from all factors and makes their votes. So we'd be here all night, but we could probably go around the room and every council member could give you their opinion. My opinion is that there's differences in the property where the property that we're discussing on E6 I see is a little more of a donut hole property within the city, and the property in that area as a little more on the outside the city limit. But we also had discussions that I think we all recognize that at some point it would be nice to try to bring that Eugene Walker area into the city as part of a comprehensive annexation plan, but that's going to involve, discussions about city services and multiple properties in that. And so the reason that I voted differently doesn't have anything to do with size of the property or whether people were in favor or against it. It's that I just think they're completely different circumstances at this point in time. But I think the key is that we've gone through the right process with each one, and then the votes fall based off the decision that the council members, take the information and make.
In regards to your comments, Ty, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as the planning commission, did they not approve Franzen's annexation of the whole parcel?
Judy, would you clarify
Yeah.
that for us?
Yes, they did. They made a recommendation to do the entire parcel. That is correct.
So we, as a council, went against the recommendations of the planning commission.
That is, you're right.
And
You
I
don't have to
understand it's
follow
our
that.
right.
Yeah.
So I still don't understand. I don't understand why we're listening to one group of folks, which I wholeheartedly agree with what we did with the Franzens. I think we made the right decision. But I don't think we're making the right decision here. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Judy, but I think the terms that you used at our last meeting had something to do with an orderly plan of development or something like that,
Yes,
was one of the primary reasons.
yes.
If by admittance we're working towards an orderly plan of development, it would seem then that we should have stayed the course with the Franzen properties, because that would have facilitated an orderly plan of development. But we didn't do that.
Well, and again, Councilman Reeker, I'm happy to weigh in on this too. You're asking for differences in the two. One is the difference between a friendly annexation and a non-friendly annexation. There are different legal requirements that are involved. And so on the Franzen property, that was it was initiated as a friendly annexation. So when it's not friendly, we have to go through certain steps that we've taken here, such as putting together the plan for annexation. We did not have that with the Franzens, and so that was part of the reason why it was good for the council to remove them, number one. But number two, that's a really big difference. We've gone through all of the required legal steps for the annexations that are now before us this evening, which include putting together a plan for providing city services, amongst other things that are included in the plan.
And I'm not arguing that, Bill. I guess my point of contention really is the fact that one party didn't want to be annexed and we allowed them not to be annexed, and be it friendly or unfriendly, in my mind, doesn't make any difference, because we accommodated these folks. But on the unfriendly annexation, they don't want to be in annexed into the city limits, and we're unwilling to listen to their thoughts on the annexation.
Well, and just to note too, legally, it makes all the difference.
Well, I don't understand law. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me like that we as a council should be listening with both ears to both parties. and render same judgment.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is that legal because they were subdivided? So.
That's, yeah, I couldn't answer that question. I guess what I'm trying to say, it's really not a public hearing, but, that's fine. I appreciate what you're, no, that's fine. Dottie, did you have something you wanted to present to us on this?
Yeah.
A petition or something you wanted to, I'll allow you to do that, so you can.
There's only a dozen actual residents in that area. We do have a lot of support out of the area that don't agree with the annexation, and I do have a petition here that we have several people have signed.
You just circulate that
Thank you.
amongst the council. I'll allow you to do that, Dottie. Okay, all right.
And I was going to say, there was some misunderstanding. I don't remember which councilman asked John the last time if he was on city sewer. And he said, yes. Well, I don't think that council person realized that we're at 17086, which is on the south side of 6th Street, which is already in city limits. We own land on the north side, which is outside city limits, and then the block, of course, on down there. But that's why he said, yeah, I'm on city sewer, because our house is in city limits. And the 1600 block of East 6th is the one that Judy was in reference to on the water and sewer, and we discussed that, but there is no reason to extend those services to that area, because there's no residents in that area. There are some houses that will be torn down. We've got demolition permits on a couple of them. The cars, we've got a lot of older cars we'd like to have. The business has been there since 1970. That's 75 years.
Okay, Dottie, I was just gonna say, as it pertains to item number 6,
Yes,
is that what you're talking about?
yes.
All right.
Then number 6, because I think we discussed that water and sewer don't have to be, extended. But there's no residential houses that are being used there. No need for it. The business started in 1970, so we have a lot of cars back there. And if this is annexed tonight, I guarantee you we'll be getting letters in the mail. It will be nonstop. I would at least like to have a couple of years to get these taken care of, because having to sell everything all at once and trying to find, we've got some buyers for some of the cars that are in there. They're, a guy drives by the junkyard, they love it. Their wives, not so much, maybe. So, it's just, we need some time. And I don't think we're gonna get it if you just say, okay, yeah, we're gonna pass this tonight. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you, Dottie. I can't give you a legal opinion, but, the legal process always does take some time. I think we can, just let you know. I mean, you can't go out there right away. I mean, I'm just telling you that. Now, whether you get 2 years, I don't know, but there is a time frame. You still have rights, however this happens. Okay. Anything else?
Councilman Isley, regarding the aspect that the property we're talking about right now has a business located on it, how does that impact the city's ability to force the removal of property that's part of a business?
I prefer to legal counsel on that one.
I don't know that I have enough information to be able to offer any kind of a legal opinion on that tonight. So if you want to talk to me further after the meeting, I'm happy to try to gather some more information and try to provide an opinion.
I would think that might be kind of pertinent for the decision we're making here tonight.
Judy, if I'm correct, if they have grandfathered rights, I'm not saying one way or another, the annexation in and of itself doesn't cancel those. Is that correct?
Again, we would have to establish that. I think that's
Yeah.
what the city attorney is talking about.
Okay.
Right. And keeping in mind that this area is still already governed by city zoning laws, city building regulations. There are so many provisions of the city code that already pertain to this area.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Garrick.
You're fine. Did Brent sneak off? He left. He was gonna come up some numbers for me. We'll see if he's in the back hiding.
Steve's hiding.
I think my question was, well, we'll give him a second. Let me ask this question, not really a Brent question, but the, on the north side of the property, oh, there's Brent. Come on up. You were gonna try and put some numbers together about, or potential solutions, or give me some kind of information, because that, the drainage on the south, on 6th Street, throughout that annexation is a problem. It pools over there. What kind of options do we have? Because we are taking them into the city limits potentially.
What we looked at was some of the historical, what's been done in recent history, along the city side from the Orchland area up on the east side of the road. We went and looked at the ditches. Looks like we can do some cleaning along the ditches, some regular maintenance along that area would help. But on, if you want to say the county side, which would be north of 6th, west of Bicentennial, there's no outlet for the water over there. We looked on all of the records. There's no culvert that we could find. So the water gets trapped in that corner. That doesn't deal with the railroad side, the north side, but the southeast corner, it looked like there were some relatively straightforward things that we could do to get the water from that corner to the ditch on the east side, which then would get it down to 4th Street, the old Highway 30 road ditch.
So essentially it could alleviate some of the issues that
Correct.
we're talking about.
On that very southeast corner, we could get a vent, a culvert put in underneath the road, which would get the water out of that corner
Gotcha.
and out right now.
Get it over to the south side and at least give it someplace to
Correct.
go.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think in that quadrant, we could do something relatively inexpensive
Okay.
and relatively quickly. It's all on city property
Thank
on
you.
that corner.
Appreciate you looking into that. You brought up the north side. The railroad used to have some culverts or some ways, and those disappeared. Have we reached out to the railroad to start communication with them, or because I don't know if that was legal for them to bury them, and or you know what I mean? Like drainage seems like it should be something that should have been taken into consideration. Have we reached out to the railroad or anything?
We haven't reached out yet.
Okay.
I think Bill had looked up with inside corporate limits. We do have a little bit more leeway or leverage with the railroad being inside the city, that we could contact them about some of the drainage from the city side and start pushing on them to try to do some improvements to help the area.
Right. And I understand they're a big corporation. It's going to take time to get any kind of, movement on that, but you got to start the process to, get that fixed. Cause on the north side's another problem, so thank you.
Any further questions of Brent? Thank you, Brent.
Yep.
You can run, but you can't hide. Okay, is there any further to the, yes, John?
This has been, everybody knows who I am by now, I guess, so. It's been in the 2 mile zone now since forever. So it should have already been taken care of if they were gonna do anything about it. And all that property is surrounded by nothing but commercial ground. You have Dowhowers on the south, Max deal on there, which was the spot zoning episode we went over last time. You got Steels and you got the railroad right behind it. It's all heavy industrial, and it just seems a little odd that all of a sudden this has got to be so important. And as far as he was talking about the water, you can go out there today on 4th Street, going out towards the river. It's on both sides. They have ditches, and then there's still water running towards the river right now. Well, some of it's got a little ice on it, but it's still running. There's cattails all along there. So it's been flowing for, I don't know how many years. And when they did that overpass and it drove them pilings, it hydrolocked the ground, and it does seep off slowly, but it takes it a little bit longer because everything used to be on the railroad. There was a big ditch that went all the way around that right out to the river. Well, that's no more, and I'm pretty sure the railroad ain't gonna do nothing about it. They're happy with what they got. And I just feel like that right now, just not a good time for this. I think if we had a year or even 2 years, it'd be better to revisit this. I think it would make more sense. I mean, it isn't like the city's doesn't have a lot to do right now with everything going on, and it's like, I'm not trying to overdo it. It's just, I just don't see the logic, what a little more time would make any difference. And for now, that'll work.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Rico.
Thank you, Councilman Nisley. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this information, I'm sorry. The information from the courthouse lists this property as being industrial commercial. So how does that impact the city's ability to force the removal
I
of the
think this is
car?
a different.
Well, I assume you're talking about the county assessor's records, which the county assessor's records have nothing to do with the city. The county assessor is obligated by law to do certain things, such as assessing property, whether it's within the city limits or outside the city limits. And the city has no control over how the county assessor does that. She has her own separate legal authority and requirements that she has to comply with. And so I know there's some information around the table for everyone here that are clearly Lincoln County assessor's records, but that doesn't pertain to anything that the city has any control over.
So we can have a different zoning classification in the county.
Zoning is completely different from assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Assessment is for tax purposes, zoning is for land use purposes.
I did receive the petition here, and I think for the purpose of this hearing, we'll receive this part of the record, so we'll go into the records of the city, okay? Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, it was with the paper that she turned in with the people that don't live there that signed it. The deal is people that know something about the city and about the county. If you'll notice, one of the people that signed it was the county sheriff. You know, he's the leading law enforcement guy. He signed it. We had Bill Snodgrass, Kim Riley, people that understand the city and how it works and devote themselves to the city. They agree with what we're saying, and it's not like, you know, it's just me saying it. It's other people that have come to me and said, hey, this is just wrong, and this is not a good time. And I really think that people should pay attention to people that are actually on there that really care about all of it together.
We appreciate it. We will make it a part of the record. Thank you for your input. Okay, council members, is there any further questions or discussion? I'm sorry, did somebody, yes.
My name is Andrea Lee, and I live down at 1802 East 6th. I'm on the city side of the road.
Okay.
And I know that technically I'm down at number 8, but that whole stretch affects us. And I wanted you guys to know, as you were saying about the people that own the property are against it. That's not the only people that are against it. All the people, well, the people that I know, which is a lot of them, that are on the city side, are quite happy with it being like it is, and it doesn't make any sense to us either. It's not an eyesore to us. It's actually it makes a nice environment for us. We're happy with it the way it is. That there's really no traffic coming down that road. There's nowhere for them to go. And it just doesn't make really any sense to any of us why it would all of a sudden be brought up when I understand there's plans, but when those plans become concrete, then maybe do it. Doing it now when not only the people that all the people that own the property are against it, but the people that live and are directly affected by it, right up, like live with it and deal with it every day, we're against it as well. Okay,
Appreciate it. You're at 1802 East 6, is that right?
yes.
Okay.
I'm catty corner from Steeles, but I'm on the city side. But I walk up and down that whole stretch on a regular basis. So, but I wanted to bring that up because I think that's something I haven't heard. I've heard about the landowners themselves being against it and other people being against it, but I thought it might benefit you to hear that the people that are on the city side are quite content with it being like it is, and it doesn't make sense to us either why it would be being done at this time. Maybe at some time in the future, if there was something else being built, it makes sense, but right now it just doesn't make sense to anyone why it's even happening. And I should apologize for not coming sooner because I honestly didn't think it was going to go through. When I had tracked the planning commission, had advised against, had said no, and then I just figured it wasn't gonna go through, and then when I saw that it had gone this far, it was like, wait, maybe you guys need to know that there's more than just the landowners there that it doesn't make sense to, and are against
Three
it.
public hearings, so people will know about it. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, is there anything else here? All right, we have a motion and a second on item number 6. There's been discussion. Anything else, council members? If not, let's proceed with the vote, please. Five to three, does that pass? The motion passes 5-3. We will now turn to the item number 7 on the agenda, which is third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4233, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-B, East 6th Street, 1700 block East 6th Street. Okay, Delane, you want to read that ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4233. An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-B, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4233, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-B, East 6th Street, 1700 block East 6th Street on final reading.
Second.
Second, there's been a motion by Councilman McNew, a second by Councilman Bowles on item number 7, which is ordinance number 4233. Is that correct? Okay, is there any discussion? Any comments from council members here? Okay, let's proceed then to a vote on item number 7. That motion passes. We'll now go to item number 8, which is a third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4234, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-C, East 6th Street, 1800 block East 6th.
Would you like me to read the ordinance?
Yes, please, if you would.
Ordinance number 4234. An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-C, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Nistley, I move to adopt ordinance number 4234, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-C, East Sixth Street, 1800 block East 6th Street on final reading.
Second.
There's been a motion by Councilman Lucas and a second by Councilman Dye on item number 8. Is there any discussion? Hearing nothing further, yes, I'm sorry, Dottie, yes.
In reference to the stuff from the Lincoln County, just so you know, Bill Ackerman owned that land until he passed away in 2006. He built things, he built tractors, he built big engines, you name it. He had everything in the back there. There was a big auction after his death, and that stuff was sold, and my sister-in-law Laura bought the house. It was sold at auction, and that house brought $37,000. You guys are probably all driven by that house. Do you think it was worth $37,000 in 2007 if that land was not industrial then? The person bidding against my sister-in-law was Darlene Albrecht. She owned cement products, and that's why she wanted it, was because it was industrial. So I don't know at what point in time these city maps get recolored. Is there a trail on when they decide? I worked for the city for quite a few years. There used to be maps in here, and I'd come in and I'd look at them and say, gee, well, that's industrial, that's industrial. I want to know when it changed, because by changing this to residential, you're cutting that property value less than half. It's probably not even worth the $37,000 that it was bought for in 2007. So that is wrong. It is very wrong.
Councilman Gary, do you have any?
Judy, can you help us out with that? Can you describe the process of how that's tracked and how to look that up?
There would definitely be tracking. I would have to go back and look because I cannot tell you exactly when it changed. It probably would have been prior to 2008. So zoning can happen in a couple of different ways. One, an applicant can request it. Or every once in a while, doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while, the city can go through and do an entire rezoning map revision. That process did occur in 2012. I don't believe this area changed at that time, but again, I would have to go back and verify for sure. And it'll probably happen again with the, once we get our comprehensive plan completed, we'll probably do an entire map revision again, just to make sure that we get zoning correct at that time. But yes, the zoning process, anybody can come in at any time and request rezoning. You guys have been through that process probably 100 times. But yes, there would be tracking, and I could get that information.
So when we do an entire map rezoning, you still go through the process of notifying the people that potential changes, or how does that work?
With an entire map, it's just in the North Platte Telegraph or news media. We do a publication. Typically, they'll know the television stations, those type of things. They're not individually notified. Now, if it's a singular lot or several lots, then yes, neighboring property owners get notified. But on a full map revision, you'd have to rely on the media to get that information.
So how far back can you look to see the zoning?
I can go clear back to like 1964.
Okay. Can you get back to us on that
How
property?
many years you want? Clear back to 1964.
How many years back you want, Dottie?
I want to know what it was when we bought.
What year was that?
What year?
2007.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further discussion on item number 8? Hearing none, let's proceed to a vote on that. Item number 8 passes. Turning to item number 9, third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4235, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-D, East 6th Street, 1900 block East 6th Street. Read the ordinance, Rosas.
Ordinance number 4235, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-D, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4235, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-D, East 6th Street, 1900 block East 6th Street on the final reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Flanders and a second by Councilman McNew on item number 9. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's proceed to a vote on item number 9. That item number 9 passes. Item number 10, third reading and action to adopt ordinance 4236, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-E, East 6th Street, 2000 block East 6th Street, north side. Groseth, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4236, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-E, East 6th Street, north side, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4236, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-E, East 6th Street, 2000 block East 6th Street, north side, on final reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Volz and a second by Lucas on item number 10. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's proceed to the vote on item number 10. Oh, did somebody? Okay. Okay, that motion passes. Item number 11, third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4237, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-F, East 6th Street, 2000 block East 6th Street, south side. Mr. Groseth, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4237, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-F, East 6th Street, south side, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Okay, is there any?
Mr. Nisley,
Yes.
if I may,
Councilman McNew.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4237, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-F, East 6th Street, 2000 block East 6th Street, south side, on final reading.
Second.
Heard Bowles. Is anybody else? Okay, it's been moved by Councilman McNew, seconded by Councilman Bowles on item number 11. Is there any discussion on item number 11? Mr. Erickson?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm still wasting your time apparently, but,
No, it's your right.
oh yeah, right into it. I understand that, but that land right there that's on the south side, that was the only block that was not taken into city limits years ago. And I mentioned this before, the fellow that owned it had his horses and stuff there, Kessler. And when he had his horses there and stuff, when they took that into city limits, they left that one block out. And his son was on city council. And I just wondered if you guys got any investments anywhere, or, you know, something's going on. Probably another coincidence. At least I got to say that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's proceed to vote on item number 11. That passes. Let's turn now to item number 12, which is the third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4238, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-G, East 6th Street, 2100 block East 6th Street. Mr. Grosset, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4238. An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-G, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Okay, is there any discussion on item one? Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I better, is there a motion on item number 12? I am sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Nisley, I move to adopt ordinance number 4238, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-G,
Okay.
East 6th Street, 2100 block East 6th Street on final reading.
Second.
There's been a motion by Councilman Lucas and a second by Councilman Bowles on item number 12. Is there any discussion on item number 12? Yes.
Ed Sterner. I live on this parcel of ground. I've had it for 15 years. I do kind of have one question. This may not pertain to this, but are you guys all elected?
Yes, every member of the council board, yes, we are.
And who elected you?
It would be the voters of North Platte.
All right, so I'm one of those voters. You're elected. And what were you elected to do? Represent us, right? So it kind of comes down to the place that we, as your constituents, we are the ones that voted for you guys. And apparently, our constituents words doesn't mean anything to you. Because you were voted to represent us. And as it stands now, if this goes through like it has through the rest of the night, you're not, I guess, voting to represent us. Okay. I had a couple other questions, but I'm not even gonna bring them up. I just want to get this over with. So something for you guys to go home and think about tonight. Put it under your pillow. Thank you.
You know, I just want to comment, I think what what Ed's saying here is, you know, you're correct. We are your representative. One of the positions of this job is we get faced with issues like this where we have conflicting legal and political things to deal with. But no, we do appreciate your input. Yeah, this is what makes it difficult in this position. Sometimes we have to do things that we maybe personally, we know the people, we like them. It's just a tough decision. And I just want to let you know that. I'm speaking for all the council members. And I want to thank you folks for coming here. I know it's very difficult. 3 hearings and it's very stressful for you and it's just part of the process that we have to get through. So thank you. Okay, where are we at here? Do we get a motion? I'm sorry, was somebody else? Yeah, Mr. Erickson?
You said it made good common sense. That representation thing, it's pretty interesting. And he said, sleep on it. Well, my brother's been battling cancer, and he did not need any more stress in his life. And I want to thank each and every one of you for that. You know, the old saying, what goes around comes around, and what goes around comes around.
Is your brother Larry?
Yep.
Yeah, I grew up with Larry. I know.
And he's been battling that.
I did not know that.
After 56 radiation treatments, he's didn't need any more stress, but he's got a bunch of it now. And I'm trying to mitigate that as much as I can. That's why I think another year would make a hell of a lot of difference. You know, for what difference is it gonna make? You know, whatever.
Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? Yes.
And this is just a question. Have you guys asked how many, or do you know how many of these people that are sitting here are against what you're voting for?
I did not make a poll. I assume that many of them are.
Wouldn't that maybe be worth your time to see how many people are willing to step up and say no? And
Well, I guess we could do this much. If you're here and you're opposed to this action, please raise your hand so we can see that you're here. Okay, there's, for the purpose of the record, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I believe. My counting's not.
Some of them left, they had enough.
Yeah, some of them.
Okay, sure, we understand. So we'll make a note on the record. There were.
Yeah, so the people from the city that oppose it outnumber council even, and there's more that could come, that planned to come but couldn't because just like the mayor, they had stuff to do too. But they're all on that, you've got the petition. And I guess to me, it doesn't make sense of what the purpose of doing it now really is. But thank you for listening.
But thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I have the same question too after all these years.
Can you come up to the mic,
Well, you
please?
come up to the mic, you need to just do that. Just to let you know, folks, this is not a public hearing, but the mayor allowed this and I'm allowing it to happen.
I just have a question, you know,
Yes.
like they said, 75 years, they've had that land, been running it the same way. Why now is this an issue for the city? Why now does the city want to bring it into city limits?
I appreciate that. This is what the people involved felt it should be done now. That's about the best I can say. And I'm sorry, we did not get your name and address. For the record.
Karen Erickson, 1718 North Sherman.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
So there's no reason as to why now and not 10 years
think
ago
it's-
or 20 years ago?
The best I can tell you, it was in the course of events that was.
I mean, because anybody that's been in North Platte, they know that area today is less developed now than what it was 20 years ago. There's less traffic on it now than 20 years ago. So I don't understand if it wasn't a benefit when the area was hopping, why is it a benefit now?
I understand. You stated your purpose. Thank you very much. Okay, any further discussion? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Councilman Lucas.
I'd just like to respond. I don't mean to belabor this, but in my 7th, 8th year of the council and a lot of years on the planning commission, Mr. Vols over here before that, my view on it is for the tax equality of the geography of this should have been likely, in my opinion, probably annexed somewhere between 10 and 20 years ago. Annexations are very difficult because rarely does anybody want to be annexed unless they are part of a new development project. I don't recall anybody who wasn't part of some kind of a new project wanting to be annexed. And it's obviously very difficult for everybody involved. And so it takes a lot of time, and it takes some courage of the staff of the city to work on these things. But I think as elected council members, I know what I'm focused on is what do I think is right and equal and fair for all the members of our community. And I respect everyone that's made testimony, and I understand why you don't agree with my view on it. But I think we can't lose sight of that. I think if we ask Judy, this has probably been on the table for recommended annexation for many, many years. Is that correct? But it's a commitment to go through this process.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas.
I'd like to state one more question he brought, but Councilman Lucas just brought up. He wants tax equality. Well, I got my tax statement last week from county, wherever it comes from. Drops out in blue. I know what my taxes are right now. So just exactly how much are my taxes going to change? Does anybody have any idea how much more tax revenue the city's gonna get from this and what I'm getting right now from Payne County?
I can't give you an exact number on that. I apologize.
You know, if it's $1, $2, $3, that's not a big deal. But if it's $3,000 or $4,000, that's a big deal. I'm on Social Security. My Social Security hasn't gone up in the last long time. Trying to live on this high priced food, stuff like that. I don't need a $5,000, $4,000, $3,000 tax increase. Whether it's tax equality or not, I chose when I bought this place to buy the place in the country that I didn't have to deal with that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yes, Councilman Gary.
Judy, you were shuffling through your papers over there. Do you happen to have that information handy? I know it was in our packet at some point. I'm just curious if you had it.
I couldn't put my mind where it was.
For this particular one, $357 per $100,000 of assessed value.
Gotcha.
Did you hear that? It's all right.
So it'd be $350 per 100,000. Yeah. And your
What I gave for the place, what the place assessed
It
at
would be
now.
what it's assessed at.
assessed. Yeah. Yeah. And your municipal bills will go down.
So we're already paying extra on our sewer and water and stuff like that. We're gonna get that money reimbursed.
Well, it'll go down.
That'll go down.
Yeah. Okay. Any further?
Trash on our side of the street either.
You want it?
Any further discussion? Yes, Councilman McNew.
Mr. Nisley, thank you. I don't want to prolong this either any longer than anybody else. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's showed up to voice your concerns. They don't go unheard. I speaking for myself, I have heard concerns and I understand and I do feel your guys' concerns. This is a tough decision for me and I'm sure it is for the rest of the council. The topic that I keep hearing or the words that I keep hearing is why now? And the answer that I keep going through my head is why not now? I grew up my entire life here in North Platte and I've wanted nothing but for this town to grow, prosper, and in order to do that, we have to move forward. And in moving forward, sometimes that takes tough decisions. And this is one of those tough decisions. On that note, you know, if we continue moving forward and leave this out of city limits, we're going to be left with a donut hole and we're going to be left with a mess for somebody else to clean up in the future. We have been doing a good job as a council cleaning up a lot of messes in the past, and I feel like we have a really good council, and I feel like we are on a good path, and I just want everybody to be proud of this community. And as somebody who lives outside of city limits, you are not able to vote for council members, but if you are annexed into city limits, then you will be able to vote for council members. And so I thank you for that. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Thank you, Councilman McNew. Oh, okay, yeah. You could just keep your remarks down to a couple minutes. And just a name and address.
So my name's Rocky Wazorek, and I live at 2902 West 21st. Okay. I went in and talked to Nick, and at his place of work, asked him, why this place, why now? And his response was, well, because it's not in my side, it's my district. I mean, so we just pick and choose where we want to go with stuff. I mean, if we, because they don't want to withdraw his votes or anybody else. So, I mean, it don't really affect me none, other than he's one of my friends that I've known my whole life. And it's just, I mean, it's just pretty crappy.
Yeah, I know, it's a tough one. Appreciate that. I do appreciate everyone serving on here, gentlemen. Okay, yes.
Just real quick, because I don't want to be here all night either, but this is a tough decision. It really is. In my opinion, when the city services were extended, there should have been the annexation at that time, because then you would have had a much easier decision at that point. It would have made a lot more sense, and this is cleaning up a mistake of a previous council, in my opinion. To be honest, I didn't even realize this wasn't in city limits. I always thought it was, so I was surprised to see that, you know, extends that far in. So extremely difficult. Really appreciate you guys coming out and voicing your concerns and being civil about it. You've done a great job, you know, with the process. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed on to vote on item number 12. That passes. Let's go to item number 13. The third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4239, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-H, East 6th Street, 2200 block East 6th Street. Lane, Mr. Groseth, will you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4239. An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-H, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4239, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-H, East 6th Street, 2200 block of East 6th Street on final reading.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Councilman Dye and a second made by Councilman McNew on item number 13. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing nothing, nothing further, let's proceed with a vote on item number 13. Okay, we'll go to item number 14, and this is third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4240, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-I, East 6th Street, 2300 East 6th Street. And Council, Mr. Groseth, would you please read the, it's been a long evening. Please read the ordinance.
Ordinance number 4240. An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to annex certain land, study area 2025-I, East 6th Street, as more fully described herein, to make provision for extension of services to inhabitants of territory annexed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4240, annexing certain land referred to as study area 2025-I, East 6th Street, 2300 block of East 6th Street, on final reading.
Second.
Been a motion by Councilman Voles and a second by Councilman Dye to approve item number 14. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's proceed to a vote. That motion passes. Okay, we will now go to item number 15, which is a public hearing on ordinance number 4242, annexing 11 government-owned parcels into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 51.97 acres. Mr. Grothus, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4242. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to include within the corporate limits of the city of North Platte certain lands as more fully described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
We have read the ordinance. We're now at a public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to address item number 15?
Mr. Nisley, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, it's been a motion by Mr. Lucas and a second by Councilman Bowles to close public hearing. Proceed to vote. Passed. That is passed. All right.
Mr. Nisley, I move to adopt ordinance number 4242, annexing 11 government-owned parcels into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 51.97 acres on first reading.
Second.
Now, Councilman Dye, second that. Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Bowles and seconded by Councilman Dye to adopt ordinance 4242, item number 15. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Why has the city owned this land so long and it's not been in the city limits?
It's a great question.
Judy, you want to?
I really can't answer the reason as to why it wasn't in city limits. It seems ridiculous to me that it has not been. And so when we were looking at different areas of North Platte, looking at the city as a whole, we discovered that these were laying out there, and we thought it was pretty silly that government-owned property was not in the city limits.
Yes, Councilman Garrick.
So I'm sorry, I was lazy and I didn't go look these up, but is it all city property or is it other government that owns it?
All of it except two, I believe, are city-owned property. Two of them we looked at are actually say the United States of America. We did some research on trying to figure out who the property owner was. I spent some time, reached out to the Bureau of Land Management, had some email correspondence with them. Do you want to chime in at all?
Yeah, and I can weigh in. And we had reached out to them, basically asking them, hey, this appears to be property owned by the city, but the property records don't reflect that. Could you just go about deeding it over to us? Let's clarify things. And they responded with, this wasn't their exact response, but they basically said, we want you to file a quiet title action, which is a lawsuit to confirm that the city owns it. And so I just have not had the time to do that, but that is on my list of things to do to clarify the ownership of it. But it's basically part of some of the accretion ground for the river. So title all falls to the city. We just have to take some further action to show that as part of the property records.
So likely that will be coming into city ownership then.
If you ask the Bureau of Land Management, it already is owned by the city.
Okay.
We just have to take the steps to reflect that within the public records.
So basically we're cleaning up the title essentially.
That's exactly right.
Mr. Nisley.
Yes, Councilman Lucas, I'm sorry.
I just give you my an opinion about maybe why some of this hadn't been done in the past. We had a time period in the community, I don't know, maybe it was a 15 or 20-year period where our percentage of TIF properties was significantly higher than it is today. We're way below the state statute levels now. And so anytime there was a discussion on annexation, it kind of turned into a political discussion about, oh, they want more TIF capacity or that. Well, with the annexation of the airport, I don't think that, I mean, what are we in the 23 or 24% range? And the statute limit is 35. So there was a time period where it was tight. And so I think some people would have viewed an idea like this as an opportunity to utilize TIF more as a very controversial item in the community. And so my personal opinion is that there was probably a lag on some of this because there's no point in arguing about TIF. Now, as the world's evolved, and I feel like we've shown a very responsible track record of TIF and we're not anywhere close to our limits, it would seem to me that this issue is a lot less political than it may have been 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to a vote on item number 15. Oh, you know what? Did I hit the wrong button? Hit me again. I can make a mistake. Okay, item number 16. Consider action on an application by Lakeside Campground Holding Company, LLC, to approve an amendment to a conditional use permit to allow additional storage units located at 3800 Hadley Drive in a B2 highway commercial district. And this is, I guess this is a public hearing on this matter. Sorry. Mr. Brothus, would you please read?
There's no ordinance.
There is no ordinance on that, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, we're now open for a public hearing on the application by Lakeside Campground for additional storage units. Anybody wish to make a presentation on that?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Garrick, second by Councilman Flanders to close public hearing. That passes. Okay, now we're, is there a open on the?
Councilman Nisley, I move that we find the request for amendment to a conditional use permit to allow additional storage units located at 3800 Hadley Drive. Meets the minimum standards stated in North Platte Code of Ordinances, section 15.6.322, and approve and grant conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with, based on the following factual findings. Number one, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. Number two, the use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Number three, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Number four, the use shall, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. Number five, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Second. And motion by Councilman Reeker, be second by Councilman Lucas to approve item number 17. Any discussion? Yes.
Are these in the city limits or are they out of the city limits?
They're in.
They're in the city limits? Okay.
Yes, Councilman Lucas.
Yeah, just a question, if you know the answer to it. I recall during the Fat Dogs redevelopment project that there was some kind of an issue or item over the road through that water access, has that issue been resolved at this point? Okay,
So, yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any?
I got a question for Judy. So can you build storage units now and use crushed concrete rather than concrete drives in the city limits? I thought it had to be paved.
Not necessarily. It's an approved material by the city engineer.
So you can use it?
In some instances, yes.
Okay. Just asking.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Badoo.
Thank you. That brings up a point that I had just thought about too. Fencing or anything like that, is that any of that required?
No, because this is a commercial district, so they don't have to, try to screen from any residential.
Okay.
But you do have the ability to require things because it is a conditional use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's proceed to vote on that. That would be item number 16. That motion passes. Proceed on to item number 17, which is a public hearing on an application of Premier Energy LLC and purchaser and J. Bowl LLC owner for a conditional use permit to allow construction of a commercial solar farm located at the intersection of Victoria Lane and East State Farm Road in an A1 transitional agricultural district. This is a matter for public hearing. Does anyone desire to make a presentation?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Garrick, second by Councilman Bowles to close the public hearing. Let's proceed to a vote. Public hearing, the hearing is closed. Does anyone desire to make a
Mr. Nisley, I move that we find the request for conditional use permit to allow a commercial solar farm located at the intersection of Victoria Lane and East State Farm Road meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte City Code of Ordinance Section 156.322 and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with. Based on the following factual findings. The use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. The use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. Ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in public streets. The use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, and the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Bowles and seconded by Councilman New to approve item number 17. And just a reminder, yes, this is on a conditional use permit only. It's not pertaining to the solar farm with the use of the land. Yes.
I apologize. I should have done this in the public hearing process, but I received an email from a neighboring property owner and they asked me to read it.
Okay.
So is that,
You'll be allowed to do
okay?
that. Yes,
Thank
you have
you.
my permission. Yes.
Sorry about that. I should have
No.
jumped sooner.
Thank you.
This email was from Jared and Melanie O'Keefe. They live at 4114 Victoria Lane, so it's the property right to the north. There's a house there. Say, hi Judy, Jared and I are not able to attend the city council meeting tonight, 12/2/25. We just wanted to go on record and state that we do not oppose the solar farm that is being proposed out here by our home. We have been in contact with Premier Energy, and they have been very transparent and forthcoming with any questions or concerns that we have had. On a personal note, we feel that this is a better option than some other projects that could be proposed. If it is possible, we would like you to read this at the meeting tonight. Thank you, Melanie O'Keefe and Jared O'Keefe.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, anything further? Yes, Councilman Lucas.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm sorry.
I know I have a handful of questions and maybe other council members do too. So I guess maybe I could give you the first one and then I can defer to others if that's okay. Probably a lot to talk about here. The first thing that I don't understand is that I understand that they're going to produce power and it's got to go somewhere immediately upon creation because I think it's generally not stored the way I understand it. I don't understand how it gets from point A to point B and how the infrastructure aspects of it work and then how that ties into our wholesale relationship. I'm glad to see a representative from NPPD here tonight. I have a feeling we're going to have him up at the podium helping answer this, but we have a wholesale power purchasing arrangement. And so, I mean, I get it. If somebody would put a data center next door to them and you plug in kind of, for lack of a better term, okay, I get that. Okay. But if the client, the purchaser of the power is not located in very close proximity, I don't understand how this all works. And I don't understand if there's any implied obligations by the city to use the infrastructure that we and our ratepayers own and how this all fits together. So if somebody can help me understand all that, I'd really appreciate it.
So Chris Hager, I work for Nebraska Public Power District, account manager. North Platte is one of my customers. So if there is within the contract NPPD has with the city, the NPPD allows for the city to self-serve with renewable energy up to 10% of their peak capacity. So the city could purchase the output of this solar generation and there wouldn't be any consequences to the relationship or the contract with NPPD. You would just come to terms with the solar developer. You would connect to your system and just absorb it.
Okay, so to clarify that, we have 10% to work with. Does the hydro that's out here stay out of that because you guys own that
Correct.
production?
Yeah,
okay, so that isn't included.
Right.
Okay. Is the hydro still seen as renewable energy? If companies have a corporate governance policy on wanting to be in communities with certain types of energy, how do they see hydro versus
As
solar?
a renewable energy
Okay.
product.
Okay.
The government does recognize it and gives it renewable energy credits
Okay.
that we use in our portfolio, but
Okay.
yeah.
So through us purchasing power from you guys today, we do have some renewable energy available to clients in North Platte.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
In
okay.
fact, NPPD's, including our Cooper Nuclear Station and our renewables, NPPD's portfolio is like 56% carbon free. So we got a very diverse, clean energy mix.
Okay. And then back to helping me understand it. So if the power, how does it get into our infrastructure?
It would connect with,
Okay.
lines to your, I assume the 34.5 sub-transmission system. There'd be a collector substation that's associated with the solar property that would transform the voltages up and connect to your 34.5 to parallel it. Be like the city's served from 5 different breakers from NPPD coming into your substations. This would be another input from the solar to your 34.5 system.
Okay. So the power, and then in terms of is the rate of that power, is it negotiated or is it whatever the same we'd pay NPPD, or that's between
That's
the
between
city
the city and the developer.
through a private contract of some type? Okay. And if we buy less power from NPPD, does that hurt our bargaining power, our pricing, our service, or any portion of our relationship
Nope.
with NPPD? Okay.
It's allowed within the contract, so, yeah, no consequences at all.
Yes, Councilman Bowles, I'm sorry.
Chris, while you're up there, thank you. In Ty's scenario, we were purchasing the power. Let's say we do not choose to purchase purchase power from Premier Energy. What happens at that point, i.e. with the interconnect agreement and the substructure, the sub-transmission lines? How is that all in that agreement, the permission to interconnect agreement on how that would work?
If they've got another buyer for it, that's a wholesale provider of, a public power district or municipality, they could connect it and you would wheel it to them, charge them for that. But I just don't think that would ever happen because, I mean, if the city isn't buying it, it's not economically feasible really to pay wheeling and connect it and then sell it to a different provider. And per statute of state of Nebraska, we're a totally public power state. So a private developer can't put the solar in and sell it to an end use customer like, a corporation or residential or, whatever it might be. So it's got to be a sale to a public power district or a municipality.
Okay. So with that, the fair market of it has to be reasonable to that we would want to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally the city's decision whether you want to enter into an agreement to purchase it or not.
Okay, let's say we don't enter into an agreement to purchase it once it's all built, or that would have to be done before it gets built, correct? Because if I'm not mistaken, they would only build it if you have an end user for it. So, okay. Very good. And one other side question. What does the hydro, how many megs is that?
20.
Approximately. That's
20
a 20 meg?
megawatts.
Okay. And there's just one tube operating, or is there two up there?
There's one tube coming down, 2 turbines.
Okay. Yep. And that's a 20 meg. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
So Chris, just so I'm understanding, in theory though, they could put the solar field in, put the power into you guys, and another public power district could buy that power, correct? That's what
Yeah,
you said just a second ago?
They could do that.
Okay, because there are a lot of public power districts out there that are looking for green energy, and they don't have the space to do it, like a California or a New York or something that it's not something there. So there's a theory that could be used outside of North Platte, even if they do put it in there.
I mean, in theory.
In theory.
Jeff might want to address that.
Come on up, Jeff.
Jeff Cookcoil, Premier Energy, Grand Island. We have been approached by a public power district, a separate wholesale purchaser of NPPD power that has expressed interest in the output of that plant.
Thank you for your clarity on that. So I have a concern, and as I was thinking about this, we put in this solar field, this other power district outbids us. Let's say we do want it, but and so we literally lose the land value for the power, and we don't even get the green energy for it. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that clearly, right? Nod like this. Okay. So just a concern I have that I mean, you think of these, it's an open market. Anybody can bid on this power, and even if we wanted it, we might not get it.
Well, you would still charge wheeling. If it's got to go through your system to get to the purchaser, the city's going to get revenue get paid for connecting it and then wheeling it across your lines.
So so basically going across the street to the hydro plant, we would charge a service fee or something along those lines, or how would that work?
Well, it's not going to go there, so.
Oh, we wouldn't take it to the hydro plant?
No, it would be some contractual thing that, I mean, I'm not sure that another entity would locate. It's in theory it can happen, but I don't know how economically feasible it'd be.
Where else could it go, I guess? Because the hydro plant has, connections there.
Right. It would go into the sub-T system and absorb it, but I'm talking like your surrounding power district would be Dawson. if it was gonna connect to Dawson's system. Yeah, it would connect into that substation through your lines into the hydro substation. So,
Oh, so it would go to the substation or to the hydro station.
yeah,
So when we charge some kind of a service fee, or I'm maybe not using the right terminology here, to
Yeah,
go
it's a
across the
wheeling fee
street,
to
a
go.
wheeling fee, is that what it's referred to as? What kind of revenue can we expect to generate from that?
NPPD's sub T rate, it can be for transmission line, like 70 cents a KW a year, something like that.
And what do you have it, Jeff? Do you happen to know what the expected meg of this is supposed to put out?
4.95, I believe.
4.95.
Yeah. That's a meg. Convert to K. You're talking metrics. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Carry the
Carry the
zero.
one. Yeah. Help us with the math, Jeff.
Yeah, well, first, this is a little afield from the 5 points that the conditional use permit is based on. But I could provide you with a sample sheet that another public power district, that Dawson has such, because we've talked to Dawson about putting solar potentially at the transfer station, and then they provided us what their wheeling fees would be to bring it to the hydro. And so this would be sort of like that. in
Similar to that.
reverse.
Mr. Excuse me, Mr. Nisley, a question. Jeff, so whose responsibility is it to build the infrastructure to connect to our power lines and to
Yeah.
maintain it?
Good question. That would be that would be the project's responsibility to build the infrastructure to connect. And permission from that would be given by NPPD. They are the ones who give permission to interconnect to the distribution system here for generation, including the qualifying local generation.
So just from a purely economic standpoint, if I remember right, you said that your power was actually going to cost us more than the power we would be contracted to buy from NPPD. Is that correct?
That was the conclusion of.
Oh, I guess, I'm
of
sorry, that was
Lane.
our conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that, for instance, that is in fact correct. And so we choose not to purchase the power from you as a city.
Right.
But we have somebody that wants to build a new facility down in the Iron Horse Park area that wants to have green energy. Can we still purchase green energy credits through NPPD, Chris, or how does that work?
No, we don't have a special product that's for green energy. The city could enter into a PPA. If you wanted to offer that to your citizens, you would have to install your own or enter into a power purchase agreement with another solar.
So what's the advantage, I'm kind of ignorant here, of NPPD having greater than 50% of its generation capacity carbon neutral? What is the benefit there?
Well, it goes to all of our customers. We don't just identify a customer that wants to take credit for a certain part of it.
And I take it there must be some type of federal subsidies that make the green energy economical as compared to coal and hydro and nuclear.
There's some industries that get a benefit from green energy.
So industries that you supply power to?
Correct, like an ethanol plant so that they can sell it into the California market. That's the most prevalent industry that sees a benefit from green energy. And it's not just electricity, it's their transportation costs, their fuel costs, whatever they can do. And it's a California CARB score that they lower, and it increases the value of their product.
So actually, it sounds like that some of your green energy is being used by the ethanol plants to gain a subsidy for their product.
Well, not necessarily, because California markets say they got to use the CARB score from the Southwest Power Pool's averages. So Southwest Power Pool's carbon average is higher than NPPD's. So NPPD's customers have a lower carbon score. So it's by the rules of the California, whatever the CARB score is, where they sell the fuels.
And we just flip the switch.
Yeah, there's a big switch.
A big switch.
Takes more than one person.
Okay, and I think you've answered my questions. So if we have somebody that wants to build a facility out here and wants to use quote green energy, in that scenario, then, if I'm understanding correctly, Jeff, then we as North Platte would buy your power and then in turn sell it to this new company that wants green energy, knowing full well that they're going to pay a premium for it because it is green energy. Is that how that works?
That's correct. And there is a business in town with significant operations, which we have not heard from them, but we've been told by local representatives that the national folks will be reaching out to us about this project.
So in that whole process, we're going to be buying the electricity from you guys and reselling it then to the new company that wants green energy, in which case then we will, undoubtedly, secure some kind of an operational margin to handle those transfers.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. One way that's done is to create a green power rate, which is higher than the rate that you're purchasing the power for if you were to enter into a power purchase agreement for the output of the plant. And, let's say that's 7.5 cents, then you'd sell it for 8.5 cents or something like that. It's to a business that has a, corporate mandate that that it's important enough that they're willing to pay a premium for the product.
So that business or whatever corporation you're talking about, they can also do some portion of behind the meter generation and have their own,
Right.
solar on the roof or in the backyard or whatever.
But that wouldn't impact any of the costs that they would pay from the city.
No.
Yeah.
No,
That would be a
city by
totally
statute's
separate system.
has to allow, it's just 25 kW that you have to allow. And then after that, it'd be some other sort of a simultaneous buy sell or some other pricing arrangement. But MPPD does have retail communities that have community solar that they do offer to the residents and citizens of the ratepayers of that community. And sometimes, depending on the power purchase agreement, sometimes the customers have to pay more or a premium for that project. And there's some communities that got it priced lower that they're actually paying less than the regular rate. But it's all dependent on the power purchase agreement.
Sure.
So Chris, since hydro is technically renewable energy, could we charge a premium for the electricity coming off it?
We're not charging you a premium.
I figured that was going to be the answer.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question for you. And I wanted to explain a little bit why, when you pass a conditional use permit, sometimes you put conditions in there. So I think we're just trying to wrap our heads around what the end use of this and what it's going to look like to see if we want to tie a condition to this. Just to understand, and you and I talked in all transparency earlier today on the phone, and you were the one who told me about the permission to interconnect. And you wouldn't have a problem. I said, I'd rather have a root canal. You said, no, I like you guys. I'd like to come back to city council. So I'm kind of thinking of bringing you back in if this passes for another step and to clear some of this stuff up, okay?
Sure.
And the main questions I had was, with the outlining the sub-transmission agreement and also the end user agreement and all that. So that's some of the concerns that I had. So I might alter the conditions on this, but while I have you up here, just to solve another one of my little problems in my own head, looking at your decommissioning plan, it doesn't say, you talk about money, you talk about a $750,000 bond or a bank account or something like that, where you're showing a $1.23 million, 1.230 million, cleanup, possibly decommission plan. So that's the net estimate. Cost 738,000. Residual value, what does that mean?
That's the value of the copper in the ground that you hear about, unsavory characters breaking into buildings and stealing copper. It's because
Okay.
it's worth a lot of money.
So you're saying the cost of decommission that in today's dollars would be $738,000.
Correct.
It doesn't spell out who decommissions it. Is it the city that has to decommission it?
No, well, the bond is in case the owner of the project is derelict and leaves and doesn't decommission it, you would have funding to decommission it yourselves.
Okay. But the plan is for the owner of the property, the owner of the solar farm, to decommission it.
Correct, because that way they take that out, they're able to sell it for that $1.23 million and then also get the $750,000 out of the bank or from the bond.
Okay, that answered that. Thank you.
And one more thing on the decommissioning, there was a question to the planning commission of how was this derived? And that is consistent with approved decommissioning plans from Perkins County and Keith County.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nisley, question again then for Jeff. You said you would decommission it. I presume you mean the property owner would be the one, the city wouldn't be decommissioning it.
Correct, the project owner would decommission it.
And if the project owner is not around and because of inflationary costs and everything, the decommissioning costs are greater than the $750,000, the landowner then is responsible to complete the cleanup?
That's more of a Judy question than a Jeff question. Sorry if the microphone didn't hear that.
I'll jump into. So I think the concern there though becomes what happens if, as Jeff said, the landowner becomes derelict or goes out of business and that company that presumably would own the land is defunct. They don't have money to pay for it. That's what the $750,000 bond or the bank account is meant to do, is offset those costs.
Well, I understand that, Bill, but if this thing got a life of, say, some 40 years, as I recall you said, with the rate of inflation, we've only got $750,000 in the bank. We're not getting any benefit of an inflation increase, but yet our costs may have increased 25 or 30%. So who's going to make up the difference?
Well, so again, if the property owner is not doing it, then...
Yeah, excuse me, Bill. The property owner, meaning the owner of the equipment, not the land.
Well, I suppose they wouldn't necessarily have to be one and the same, although the improvements would generally go along with the land. But that all would depend on who the project owner becomes and what kind of a deal they would strike with the property owner. So that could depend on a lot of things. In my mind, I think what I worry about is at what point could the city have to get involved?
Exactly.
And that would be the point where nobody else is around that is, that hasn't gone through bankruptcy and liquidated or whatever that could be. If they're not around to do it, then ultimately the city's kind of the option of last resort. And, just like we see or talk about with other properties where the property owner doesn't comply with city code or, do what the building department asks them to do to bring the property up to standards, the city is the option of last resort that could come in or would have to come in and do the cleanup.
So with that in mind, excuse me, I should be talking up to the microphone, I guess. Good thing I don't have a camera. But as far as that's concerned, it would seem to me then that we ought to have in this conditional use permit some kind of an interest-bearing bond that would secure some additional funds just in case in the future when this thing needs to be decommissioned, that there's adequate funds in there to pay for the decommissioning. Otherwise, somebody's going to get stuck. Or somebody potentially is going to get stuck.
I think that's a wise thought. And I mean, with the conditional use, there are always additional conditions that the city can place upon the permit. And so, you know, it may be that I think Councilman Voles he kind of indicated he was leaning this direction in offering some additional conditions. And so where I could weigh in is that, you know, you may want to consider offering an amendment that places an additional condition that might reset that bond every couple years to provide for inflationary costs of cleanup. So that in my mind, that would be a reasonable condition to add on if the council agrees.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So having said that, I'm going to ask the banker, what would be a reasonable fee, and what would be a reasonable percentage to ask in a situation like this? And I guess I don't like the idea of having to look at re-upping it every year. It would make more sense to me that we have a set fee and that we increase that amount annually. I mean, it's like an interest-bearing account.
Well, I'll just give you my opinion. Yeah, I think having some kind of inflation, I mean, I suppose if you compared this to things like lease escalators, they're typically 2 or 3% a year or CPI based, and then they compound every year. And so maybe there's a starting point. You know what? Some of the concerns I have is the Planning Commission talked just very briefly about fencing. They talked very briefly about insurance. And I think where they landed, you know, they were really looking at it from the land use. You know, does it fit the neighborhood? Which, you know, we can't forget as we're thinking about all of these important things too, that, you know, if it curbs any development of adjacent properties or people think it's an eyesore, I mean, that's kind of in the eye of the beholder. Those are important aspects of this too. I think they were really more focused on those items, was my interpretation, really in terms of land planning. But there were a lot of things that were talked about, like inflation. Well, and then a question I would have, do we even have an easement or a license or whatever it is to access the property, decommission it? Or are we going to go through 3 years of court hearings? I mean, and so I guess I'm still struggling with, I've done a lot of research on the economics of these projects, and I'm sure Jeff is with a reputable company. I mean, they're doing other projects in Nebraska, and we're glad to have a reputable company talking to us about this. But the economics are getting tougher in this. I think I shared with the group that recently the Federal Reserve shared that about a third of these projects in process are having time delays and construction overruns because of the sprint now that's occurring to try to beat the tax credit deadline. And, you know, if this project has troubles getting to the finish line and getting its tax credits or getting it down, that, you know, what's that going to change all the economics if they can't sell the power? What I worry about is the unintended consequences or the backdoor costs that the city future councils, when I'm not here, are talking about, because they struggle with the ability to sell the power at a competitive rate, and they have a problem, an economic problem. That's going to be a complicated situation. I mentioned this in the last meeting that, you know, NPPD is not proposing this to us. We tried to support roughly $4 billion worth of current expansion plans that they're working on by renegotiating our agreement early with them. And Chris, I'd welcome you to comment on this, but part of that wasn't them saying we want a solar field in North Platte because we're going to be able to produce power at a competitive rate and have more green power. So that wasn't part of that conversation. So part of me keeps scratching my head saying, if this is a good idea, why wouldn't Jeff, MPPD, and we all be collaborating on a facility? Or is there too much? I think there's too much risk in the economics as we talked about earlier, for the city to be part of that. But you think about all the little things like decommissioning and insurance, and that I worry that we can effectively catch that with a few conditions and a conditional use permit versus having a development agreement. You know, normally if we have this complexity of development, there's TIF involved or there's some kind of major infrastructure project and you're working through a development agreement. So I'm nervous that a city can effectively think about their risk mitigation with just a couple simple conditions. At the Planning Commission, I think the condition they included was that they had to comply to the terms of the application. Is that correct, Judy? So that, you know, there's a lot of what ifs with risk mitigation.
If I may, gentlemen, I'm hearing a lot of good discussion here, a lot of good thoughts from everybody. I appreciate that. I mean, are we at the stage tonight to vote on this issue? Seems to me there's been a lot of questions raised. I just asked that. If you're comfortable on making a decision, then we can proceed on.
I'm only about halfway through my list of questions, so. If that's all right.
Well, if you have some questions, Mr. Garrick.
All right, thank you.
You kind of
Shorten it up. I hear you. I'm hearing you, Mr. Nisley. I hear you.
All right.
All right. Jeff, quick question for you. The wheeling fees, I just did some quick napkin math. It would be about a $35,000 fee every annual. Am I in the ballpark or did I carry the one wrong? I know I put you on the spot with no materials.
That's about what the project could afford.
You're roughly, I'm in that area. What's the cost to put the infrastructure in? Do you have any
Nothing
idea?
to the city.
Oh, you guys are going to put that in. Okay, thank you. All right. The road that runs right through there, Victoria Lane, beautiful street. I mean, it's just sitting there. What was the cost to put that in? Do you have that number off the top of your head?
Done by the developer.
It was? I'm pretty sure the city paid for it. Anybody know?
I'd have to go back and do some research from 20 years ago on it.
I think the city put that in.
You really put that in?
There's some complex things that happen on that. I'd have to go back and research it.
Okay. If I'm correct, I believe the city put it in, and it was to the tune of millions of dollars. It was not a cheap development. Is it having issues? Is the storm sewer? Somebody told me the storm sewer has been having issues, or is it functioning? It's a beautiful road.
I haven't had anything.
Did Brent
as far
sneak
as
off again?
Storm sewer. I know that the infrastructure in that property for the electric and the water and stuff or the water and the sanitary sewer that was put in, the water's probably no good anymore as long as it's sat. Sanitary sewer is a question we'd have to camera that to see if there's any good use of the sanitary.
So it would be expensive to go build out there. Because
a lot of that infrastructure would have to be replaced. It was put in 20 years ago.
Gotcha. Because I see that area and it would be a beautiful commercial or industrial area that we could develop. And so to put a solar field there, I'm having some heartburn with it. And I've talked to Jeff about that and we've went rounds. He disagrees, but just such a beautiful road that could be developed for other things. The chamber's doing stuff down the road that's beautiful and it's growing this way. I mean, there's a potential for that area to take off. So I'm struggling with the location, to be honest. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's a 35-acre parcel and we need about 20 acres for solar. And sort of the first reaction is to carve off the frontage on State Farm and for commercial and industrial development. And then there's land that would make sense for the neighbor to have that's of no use to us because we wouldn't want to put solar there. So we'll work out a very fair deal with the neighbor on that. But we wanted to have a 300-foot setback from their house, which creates about another 4-acre parcel. And when we were having our initial conversations with the electric department, there was some enthusiasm about the whole thing because it meant that they could put their combined office and yard in that 4 acres right there and have consolidated operations right there. And my immediate reaction to that is, well, we're gonna have to shift the solar around, because I would imagine the neighbors would rather have solar for a neighbor than a yard for a neighbor.
That keep it short enough?
Yeah, no, I don't. If you have more questions, Brad, go ahead.
That was the last of my questions.
I just had one clarifying comment about the interconnection. So NBBD does have an interconnection application that this project would have to enter into. And NBBD, along with the city's consulting engineering firm, have to study the impact of that 5 megawatts and the sub-transmission system to see if it can accept and handle that sort of additional generation along with the city's load. So to know what the interconnection costs are going to be, that study process would have to take place. So,
Excuse me, Chris, how long would that take?
4 to 6 months.
Ooh, that kind of puts a real hurt on getting it done by September.
No, started.
Started.
Chris, while you're up there, can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead, yes.
Just because of the way the laws and stuff work as far as purchase and everything else, the city can't be forced to purchase power from a third party, correct? I mean,
No.
we don't have any obligation to have to buy it. It has to make sense for us to
Correct.
do that.
The
Correct.
city has transferred their PERPA purchase obligation to NPPD.
Okay.
So Premier could force NPPD to take it, but
Okay.
at our avoided wholesale costs, so.
Okay.
And I want to get back to something Councilman Volz was saying or implying earlier. And that is that for, assuming we receive a conditional use permit with business, acceptable terms to it, and we're able to keep the project moving forward, then one of the next steps is to make that interconnection application to NPPD. And I'm quite sure that the city has to sign that interconnection request. And so there will be another stage gate for the city. And I don't think that that's a council decision. I think, that may or may not be an internal municipal light and water decision, but that could be a reasonable condition that prior to submitting the interconnection request with city approval, that the project would come back to the council.
I guess, Councilman New, I'm sorry, Brian, I'll get to that.
Thank you, Mr. Nisley. Jeff, I don't think I've heard this talked about, or I don't think we've talked about it. The copper lines that go through the ground, what runs through those? For the solar panels? You said there was copper lines that go through the ground, and that's part of the decommissioning
Yeah.
that you'd have to remove?
Yeah, that I can't tell you how many feet of buried cable there will be in that parcel, but that all of the connections between the rows of solar panels will be made underground, and then they'll go to a common combiner box where they'll be combined, and then it'll go to the inverters, which will convert it to AC, and then there'll be a transformer which brings it up to the line voltage.
Okay. Is there ever any concern about any ground contamination or soil contamination or anything to that nature when we're talking solar panels?
No, I mean, think of all the subdivisions that have buried cable. I assume that there are some around town, and is that a question anyone asked? It would be the same sort of cable.
Right, and that's fair, and I understand that part. What about like if the solar panels crack from hail, any contaminants from the solar panel go onto the ground, seep into the soil, anything of that nature?
No, that contamination risk is minimal. It would be like having your phone, out on and getting hit by hail, and the glass getting broken on your phone.
Okay.
Similar to that.
Thank you.
Councilman Flanders, I'm
That
sorry.
was one of the questions I was going to ask, but Council McNew just asked. But is it something that we can put in the conditional use permit that before the city decides to purchase from them, that it comes before the council?
I have a suggestion on that. But I have one other question before I get to another condition. Is that okay, Mr. Nisley?
Yes.
Gary, I know you didn't want to come up here and speak, but if you don't mind, you're the expert in the room as far as potential industry coming into town. So one of my biggest fears is if we don't do this, we could leave a potential industrial player in the weeds. So that's why I'm liking this idea, because I don't want to leave anybody out. In your opinion, it was stated that we have a national company looking for green solar power. In your professional opinion, is that an accurate statement?
We've dealt with several potential prospects. I mean, we get prospects from Department of Economic Development, some of our utility providers. We pursue them all, just on the what if. During the past 4 years, we saw an increasing amount of companies that had a green energy requirement too. And there had to be some guarantee that they could get some green energy credits somewhere. Most of those companies though had a much greater power capacity need than what we could handle. We still pursued them. We worked with the NPPD on the capacity issue, but capacity has become more of an issue than green energy. So quick answer to your question is yes. We've seen that minimize over the last couple of years of companies actually having that requirement. Partially, I think, because of the deadlines, the changed administrations, those kind of things. But there will always be some companies out there that have a corporate policy that they're looking for green energy credits. They don't have to be right next door. They want them available. They want you to help identify resources that they could potentially have. So,
thank you.
Councilman Reaper?
Thank you, Councilman Nisley. Ty, to address your concern about the best use of the land, I was gonna bring something up and then I decided against it because the people that want to sell the land, I don't know the city should step in the middle of that. But on the other side of the coin, I think the city has some property that's reasonably close up by the water tank. I don't know, Lane, did you have a chance to look that up?
We have a long-term lease on that property. We do not own that property.
Oh. I'll scratch
But
that.
thanks for making me aware of it, because I was not aware of that till yesterday.
Is the lease, who's the lease with?
State. We have to be careful that the county still has a moratorium on wind and solar, so we can only do things within city limits as far as that goes. We can't do anything without, because of their moratorium on that.
So we'd have to annex it.
If I may ask a question, would that be within the extraterritorial jurisdiction?
It would be.
So that would make it, we could qualify that. And here's where I'm going with that. If that's a logical place and we can work something out with the state and lease the property, that's not what I meant to say. If we're already leasing it, if we can change the lease to accommodate a solar farm as opposed to just a water tank. I've never been on the property, but I drive by it occasionally. It's probably better for mountain goats than anything else.
Part of it's a little steep.
And it would make sense that if we're looking for property that wouldn't have any other better uses, this may be a good use for it. And it's close. It is quite close. There would be a little transmission line, I suppose, that would be required to get it down to the hydro plant where the connection would have to be made, but
just over the hill.
So, I mean, I throw that out that may be an option as opposed to using the property that has been presented to us tonight. And then it comes back to the question, if we can get something worked out with the state, is the council willing to offer a long-term lease for this project for solar farm? what does that open us up to again as far as liability for cleanup and decommissioning?
So not to interrupt you, Ed, but Judy, is that land contiguous to be annexed, or is that, it is not? But that doesn't affect the moratorium that the county has. The county would have to allow us to do it then.
Okay, gentlemen, is there any further discussion on this? Do you feel comfortable at this stage? You have enough information to make a decision?
Mr. Nisley, no, I'm not comfortable at this point, I think. I would suggest that I would make a move, that I would propose that that we table it until the next session, our next council meeting. And maybe we would have an opportunity for maybe Lane and Bill to find out if the state would allow us to modify our lease agreement on that property to put solar panels up there. And maybe you guys don't want to do that. I don't know. But I like you mentioned, Ty and Brad. I mean, that strip of land there, that whatever it is, 35 acres or whatever it is pretty good property. It seemed like, but on the other side of the coin, if the people that want to sell it, then I don't know that I want to stand in the middle of that.
Second. I assume that was a motion, right?
If you can figure it out.
Motion by Reeker, second by Garrick, to table the matter. That, we must proceed to a vote on that. There's no discussion on that issue, so please, let's proceed to vote on that issue. So what was gonna do, so we're gonna table it.
Table to next meeting.
Hit the wrong button.
You want to change your vote? Okay.
All right.
You're good, 7-1.
Yeah.
Gonna go on your record forever.
Okay, that matter is now tabled. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
See you in 2
Thank you
weeks.
both for
Yeah.
being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, the final matter on the agenda is the claim. So I hear a motion on that.
Make a motion to pay the claim.
I moves. Second. Reeker seconds.
I was supposed to be first.
Okay, any discussion on the motion to allow claims? Hearing none, let's proceed to a vote. That passes. And, all right, I guess there has now been a request to go into executive session.
Yes, Councilman Neasley. I move to enter a closed session for the sole purpose of discussing potential litigation and real estate transactions in order to protect the public's interest.
Motion by Flanders, second by Dye, to go into executive session. Brad?
Oh, sorry. Brad's hungry.
Here on that motion passes, so we're now going to executive session.
Going to pizza.
You're right if I'm right. I'll just take care of it.
Yeah, go ahead. Banshee needs to go home, that's fine. Thank you, Lane.
Hey, can we go urinate?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you need a restroom break.
Restroom break.
We'll get microphones shut off and we'll go upstairs. I know.